Yeah, I'm live now. Here at No Vision Internet Radio on Facebook and YouTube. So we have a unique opportunity of streaming on both platforms. And also, folks, today is November 29th. August 29th. We will be talking to Miss Sissy Byrd later on today. But I do apologize, folks, and let you know straight out right now. Normally, we do have, we try to schedule everything around the show, but we have a delivery today. So hopefully our dogs don't lose their little puppy heads waiting for the delivery of our microwave. It went to microwave heaven. But anyways, good morning, Mr. Bautista. How are you doing today, sir?
Good morning, George. Doing great. How's people in El Paso doing today? I hope they're not going out because it's too hot out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? That we've had several days of over like 102, 104, 100. I mean, in late August, you know?
Yeah, it's supposed to be
kind of crazy
100 today. Yeah.
And and we're also streaming, folks, on our website, which is www.novisioninternetradio.com. If you want to if you know someone that doesn't have Facebook or YouTube, just let them know to go to our website. And also, Mr. Bautista, we're proud to announce that we're also on iTunes, our podcast. After the show, I uploaded into the podcast iCloud or Stratosphere, and so our podcasts are available on any podcast player on Apple. So if you have a podcast player like Downcast or anything like that, go ahead and search for No Vision Internet Radio, and it will pop up our latest podcast. Right now we have 3 of them uploaded, and then after today it'll be 4. So folks, we're trying to bring you different platforms, and by doing that, hopefully we could broaden our exposure. Because last week, Mr. Bautista, I didn't want to tell you this right now, but last week, folks, the last video we did was Aaron Montes. We had 800 hits. What do you think about that, Mr. Bautista?
Wow, that is awesome. That is
800, man. I'm like, wow. When I saw that, I'm like, that's crazy, you know?
Yeah, somebody likes Mr. Montes.
Oh yeah.
It must have been all his family, relatives, and all his fans.
And it's
everybody.
800 people, Mr. Bautista. I'm like, wow, we did something wrong.
Yeah, I think we did something right for a change.
Right. So what? And by the way, folks, just to let you know that so around 11:30, we're going to have Miss Sissy Byrd. She's a candidate for District 4. Come on, and we do appreciate for her for doing that. So let's get on with the show, folks. First of all, Mr. Bautista, I want to give the latest numbers from yesterday. I didn't have a chance to see them from this morning. And we have over 410, unfortunately, over 104 deaths due to the COVID virus. Over 16,000 have recovered. However, they may have consequential effects from that, like their lungs and whatnot. I've heard people that months later, they're still having issues with their lungs. And I think that's kind of crazy.
Their breathing and all that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Oh, by the way, anyone that's on watching this on Facebook Live, you have a comment or question, you can always comment on the comment section of the Facebook Live feed, and it will pop up on our end, and we'll go ahead and display it on the screen. And that's another unique thing asset about StreamYard. So we're gonna do right now, Mr. Bautista. I want to, like last week, what we did, we try to be universal here, folks. We're bipartisan here, hopefully. And what we're gonna do, I want to do is play this week. President Bush or Trump, sorry, accept the nomination for the Republican Party, and I'm gonna go ahead and play that. It's a short clip, maybe like a minute or so, but I want you to listen to it to see what you think. All right, Mr. Butts, I'm gonna go ahead and play it.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Friends, delegates, and distinguished guests, please. I stand before you tonight, honored by your support, proud of the extraordinary progress we have made together over the last 4 incredible years and brimming with confidence in the bright future we will build for America over the next 4 years. We begin this evening. Our thoughts are with the wonderful people who have just come through the wrath of Hurricane Laura. We are working closely with state and local officials in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, sparing no effort to save lives. While the hurricane was fierce, one of the strongest to make landfall in 150 years, the casualties and damage were far less than thought possible only 24 hours ago. My fellow Americans, tonight, with a heart full of gratitude and boundless optimism, I profoundly accept this nomination for President of the United States.
Well, there you go, folks. That's the nomination.
I have a question there for you, George. Just out of those, all those people that were there, I wonder how many of them were wearing
Well, on
masks.
to a bizarre story.
What I
A
understand
20-year-old
is
woman
people-
believed to have died.
And I want to be straight honest with you. What I understand is there was over 1,500 people there, no masks. Those people were wearing masks. So I don't know. I mean, be honest with you, that's something that needs to be addressed. Because I mean, the thing is about the mask, folks. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Mr. Butler? I mean, because we've been talking about this for weeks, and I don't know. It's like people don't realize the importance of wearing the masks. I just don't. I don't understand that. So, I mean, I know it's a political thing. Some people like to, drag it out to saying that, this or that, but I don't know. It just, to me, it just baffles the mind that people are willing to put their lives at risk for just something stupid,
Well, the thing that bothers me about that, George, is that it just goes to show how indoctrinated, how ignorant, how weak those individuals are. I'm not talking about the fact that there's numbers that are following him for his presidency, but it just goes to show you they're not even concerned about their own safety and the safety of their families, the well-being of others who they come in contact. That tells me that these people are just like him. They are careless. They don't care for others.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. It's just, to me, it's just like one lady was saying on TV that she feels that the masks are restricting her ability to live life, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know what the thought is. I really don't know. I mean,
well,
I know
one of the things, George, that there were some of the his followers up in New Hampshire. One of them said, quote, she said, the masks, they're just trying to control us, and that's why they want us to use masks. They're trying to control us. And when they asked her, well, who are they? She couldn't answer. In other words, she couldn't say, well, the Bidens or the Democrats. All she said was, they're just trying to control us, and that's why they want us to wear masks. Now, how stupid and ignorant can that be?
What Mr. Butler said, it just to me, it just baffles the mind that people are willing to do that. And so, I mean, I don't want to talk too much on this because it's a subject that really people should just use common sense. It shouldn't really be a political thing. It should be a health crisis issue to mitigate the spread of the virus. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Mr. Bautista, no matter what we say or do, people are going to say this, are going to do what they want to do. There's nothing we can do. And so, I mean, and now talking about the virus, Mr. Bautista, we had talked about this a little bit yesterday or last week about sports. And, we talked about, for example, Notre Dame and all these big colleges had to close down. Matter of fact, the Pac-10 is not going to play football this year. So I don't know what's going to happen to the Sun Bowl, if the Sun Bowl is even going to take effect, because the Pac-12, I think the third or fourth place team comes to El Paso. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But having said that, folks, I don't know if you heard the story, Mr. Bautista, that in the NFL, this week they had 11 or 77 positive tests that came back, and it infected 11 teams. And then check this out, Mr. Bautista. They came back and said, wait a minute. The lab that did the process the test was contaminated. So all those 77 were actually negative. So now we're like, oh crap! So now we don't know what's true or what's not when it comes.
Yeah, did they go back to retest them and have we got that information or was this just an excuse by them?
Let me play the audio to see. Let me see if they have an excuse or this.
Okay.
Was found breathing at a Detroit funeral home.
Thank you very much.
On to a bizarre story.
And then you have all these false positives in the NFL that have affected 11 teams.
Bizarre.
I'm telling you, if there are false positives, are there false negatives?
Yeah, I would certainly think so. I mean, here's what we know. There's no exact science to this. And the fact that they came out of one lab in New Jersey, boy, don't you got to get someone over there and say, what the hell are you guys doing? I mean, that's a huge number, and it impacted, what'd you say, 10, 11
teams.
Now, most teams did press on because I guess there was some question about all those positives. Some delayed practices and, practice later in the afternoon instead of in the morning. But you talk about needing some help here and having a long way to go in this testing process. That was eye-opening to me this morning. And I'm glad that, because it would have been very easy for the NFL to just shut things down immediately and just pause camp for a couple of days. Instead, they pressed forward, found out there were false positives, and we're good to go. But you're right. If there are false positives, yes, I would think theoretically there could be false negatives.
Yeah, the Jets, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Steelers reported the most players that were affected. And then when you listen to the coaches talk about what they had to go through in order to figure this whole thing out, it's really been, I think it's a good exercise. I think it's a really good exercise for these teams, even though it is a blatant mistake and it creates all sorts of, I'm sure, headaches, and you have to figure different things out. But it's a good exercise to go through and figure, okay, we just lost 1/6 of our roster. We now have to figure out how we're going to do this. And, a coach or two here. So as Adam Gase has said, as Joe Judge has said, as almost every coach has said, everybody has contingency plans in place. Everybody seems to be pretty much organized as to, how they're going to handle if something like this does happen. And I remember asking Frank Reich, obviously the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, about a month and a half ago, or maybe it was even 2 months ago when he came on with me and Gio on a Saturday. I said, what happens if you come down with coronavirus? How do you handle your situation? He goes, obviously, I would be quarantined away from the team, but that doesn't mean as long as I'm feeling okay, because most guys who have come down with it seem to be feeling okay. They just have to go through the quarantine situation. I would coach via the Zoom meetings, and I would definitely be involved in the game planning. Obviously, I don't necessarily know that I could call the game like he would normally do with Phillip Rivers now as his quarterback. But we do have contingency plans in place. This was over a month and a half or 2 months ago, so I'm sure that they are practicing these things as you go on. And the
Eagles lived it with Doug Peterson already.
Right. Well, but that was early in the whole process. I mean, I'm talking about when the actual games start. That some coach of significance is going to come down with this. You just know it. And
you would think statistically, yes, I agree.
I'm actually surprised no managers that I know of have come down with it in Major League Baseball.
But you know what you do see in every dugout? I am yet to see a manager, and I'm not watching all the games, but you watch Quick Pitch on MLB Network every day and you see all the highlights. I have not seen one manager without the mask on in the dugout. I think that's a big part of it. If they're protecting themselves and they're doing the proper protocols, they should be okay. You would hope they're okay.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.
Mr. Bautista.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and take over for a bit, because the delivery is here. So go ahead and take over for the show for a little bit.
Okay. I was just going to, to let George know that I think it's going to be very difficult, even though they're not having, they claim that they're not having problems with the virus, because they're making sure that they're following the CDC directions and whatever. But I just don't feel that they can survive it, because they have to travel and throughout the traveling or throughout the process, some of those players are going to contract the virus, and then what? They're going, of course, they're going to, mix in with their players. They're going to mix in with their coaches, and they get to go home because evidently they're not in a bubble like the baseball teams are, or the NBA. The NBA has played it smart. They're in a position where nobody can leave. They can't go anywhere. They're there, and that's players, maintenance people, whatever. They're all going to be there, and they're not gonna have the same problems that the teams that travel. So I don't understand how they feel that that they can continue their games. Soccer has contracted the virus, and so had the women's basketball team, or the women's soccer team. I think they're not having problems, but they're all staying away from the public, staying away from their families. They're all taking care of, making sure that they're taking they're washing their hands, and that they're using the masks where they need to, and they're following up with all the procedures and proper procedures for avoiding the contraction of the virus. That doesn't exclude, there's people that have, we've been listening to comments from the media where people were followed the rules. They wore gloves. They wore their masks. They washed their hands. They followed everything, that all the rules, and they still died. So I don't know. I just find that kind of difficult for people to say that the teams are going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be okay. But going from there to the college football programs, the college football programs are having the same problems. One of the things that they were Notre Dame just closed the doors, and they're saying that they're going to return face-to-face learning in a couple of weeks. That's what the newscasters were saying, but they've got the same problem, because when they open the doors, a lot of those students live off campus. Well, they're going to go to partying, and they're going to go to the drugstore and to buy groceries, etc. And if they're not wearing masks, or if they're not following the proper procedures, they're contracting the virus, and then they're bringing it back into campus. And even though the students that are on campus, maybe they're following the rules, they're still mixing up with the people that are not wearing masks. So I don't see the college football programs having any more success than what the pros are having because of that.
And I think too, Mr. Bautista, sorry about that, folks. It was actually the Orkin guy was here. Anyways, the thing about the football, Mr. Bautista, I don't know if you mentioned this, but the basketball players they're in a bubble.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, today, Mr. Bautista, I was hearing the Tour de France. It's going to start today, and actually, the way they're going to do it is that all teams are going to have bubbles. In other words, I think there's 30 per team, that the doctors and the trainers and all of them are going to be quarantined. In other words, if any of those people come out positive, if 2 or more people come out positive from that team, what they're going to do is that they're going to go ahead and expel that team.
Isolate them, yeah.
Yeah, and that's I mean sometimes you have to do that because they say it's 2,200 miles, the Tour de France. Oh, and also they're not going to allow people to stand on the side of the road anymore.
Right. Yeah, and if they did, they would have to be at least 10 feet away. So if they can do it, if they rope the area so that they can't come in close, to the bikers or whatever. But even there, George, they're going to, if they're biking, if they're trying to pass one each other, they're coming in close contact. Now it's not for a time, but still they're still coming in contact. And when you're biking, or when you're an athlete, you're breathing hard. You know what I'm saying? And I doubt that those guys are going to be wearing masks.
And you
can't.
to be a coach. You know about that, wrestling coach.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to to be an athlete and have to wear a mask because you have to breathe hard, and the mask is going to restrict you. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not gonna. How can you do that with a wrestler? How can you put a mask on two wrestlers and have them,
I
wrestle
wonder.
without?
I wonder
There's
how.
just no way.
Have you heard, Mr. Bautista, of how they're going to do for the NFL? I heard something that, granted, we can't see the TV, but I heard something about a shield, I guess, covering the face. I know before, I don't know if you could see before, but they had a
Yeah.
shield on the top part of the mask to block their eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure
have
that's going to
those-
go down to cover their mouths.
They had
I don't
those
know.
plastic guards to protect them from getting poked with their, fingers.
Yeah.
But see, still again, George, there's a restriction there in the breathing process, because you're still restricting people from being able to breathe normally, And if they're like, you go around, you go, run a play and you ran, a quick 30 yards, 40 yards, come back, you're breathing hard, So I don't know. I just think that the people don't understand that athletics has more to do than just play the game.
Amen.
There's
Amen
more
to
to
that.
it,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and see, the thing about what are people afraid about the virus, about dying, right? And they were saying that Hispanics and
blacks.
African Americans,
Yeah.
they have a more potency of dying because of obesity, diabetes, and whatnot. So, and a lot of these players are big guys, 350 pounds, 355. Like they had this one guy, linebacker. He's I think from Oakland. I forgot his name, Mr. Bautista. He's 6'9", 340 pounds. That's a big
man.
dude. That's a big dude. So anyway,
That's why you always say sir to that guy.
oh, heck yeah, you say, sir. Sir, can I help you? Sir, yeah. So this other story, Mr. Bautista, I found. Oh, by the way, I do want to mention about the march that was done yesterday in Washington to commemorate 57 years ago. Martin Luther King made the "I Have a Dream" speech, which I think is really poignant now because life has not really changed regarding how Africans or Americans are treated, even us Hispanics. I mean, especially now with this president. So just think about that, folks. That was 57 years ago, and we're still having these issues. And we're going to have, it's just part of culture, I guess, certain cultures. But it takes education. It takes knowledge, or not knowledge, courage to educate people that, what, and it goes, I think, Mr. Bautista, you being a teacher, it goes from when the kids are chiquito, growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Character
Absolutely.
of the family and what the family's views are on things like that. Because I honestly, and you probably do, Mr. Bautista, I never, growing up, never heard the N word regarding like being negative. Maybe when I was in my teens, I started hearing that word. But when I was growing up, everybody was the same. I had no, and then when I went to Austin High School, it was a military, the Army brad. So I had like South Koreans. I had all these, and I never, I don't know. We're all the same.
And the word negrito, maybe they would use the word negritos. I've even known negritos, but it was never in an insulting tone or manner.
No.
And so we understood that, but it's today, and I'll tell you this much, George, I don't blame those the blacks for demonstrating and marching. They have long been discriminated against just simply because of their color. And you know what? And so have we. The only thing is that, and I'll tell you this too, whatever the benefits the blacks have gained, we've gained them because of them too. So we should not discriminate against our brothers just because they're black, because they don't treat us any better. Not really.
So Mr. Paloma, Mike Paloma, Mr. Bautista, he says hello. He's commented on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go ahead and show his picture I'm going to show the comment. I'm showing the comment right now. It says, hello, guys. How are you doing?
That's it.
Okay, I turned it off. I just thought I'd show that just so people can know what
Well,
I'm talking about.
thanks a lot, Mr. Palomar, and it's good to know that you're following us, and it's great to hear from you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show people that how if we make a comment, we could show it on the
Yeah.
feed. So, anyways, I just want to show you this one story real quick before Miss Byrd comes on, which is kind of spooky. This one is about. Did you hear about this one, Mr. Bautista? She's a 20-year-old young lady that she would pronounce dead, but she actually survived.
Oh no! Go ahead and show it because that's scary. That
We
is
played it.
scary.
I mean, this is it's a true. It just makes you think like, wow, what? But let me go and play it. So, 1 second,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
9 News at 5.
And then
Well, on to a bizarre story. A 20-year-old woman believed to have died was found breathing at a Detroit funeral home. What? On Sunday. Yes. On Sunday morning, Southfield Fire Department paramedics responded to a home for an unresponsive woman. When they arrived, the fire chief said she was not breathing. After standard efforts to revive her, first responders determined after about 30 minutes that she was deceased. Because there was no indication of foul play, per standard operating procedure, the Oakland County Medical Examiner's Office was contacted and given the medical data, and the patient was again determined to have expired. So her body was released directly to her family to start making arrangements. They sent her over to a funeral home. And at that point, James H. Cole Funeral Home in Detroit, staff members made the shocking realization that the woman was actually still breathing. When they made that revelation, I know, they actually reportedly then called paramedics who took her to the hospital. And she also is currently, she is still in the hospital as of now. Her current condition remains unclear. So she.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that
Wow. It is scary. You know,
Years old, I mean, 3 times what I just heard the other story is that she had passed. They had attempted 3 times in half an hour, and when the police arrived, that's when they declared her. Actually, called the medical examiner actually, and that's when they declared her dead. So I'm like, wow. I don't know, man.
That's
I
scary.
don't know about these. That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. Wow.
But anyways, right now we'll be waiting for Miss Sissy Byrd. She's running for District 4 here in El Paso, Texas, on November 3rd.
While you're doing that, George, let me just bring a couple of things on.
Sure.
You know, one of them is that remember that the census are still going, folks. We need for people to register for the census. That helps a lot. That counts, especially for us. And we need to tell the immigrants and people who are scared to go out. You need to encourage them and say, that's not to take you, send you back to where you came from or whatever. It's your right to be able to be counted in the census. And so that's one thing that I wanted to mention to you. You got anything on that?
That to me, it's, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's at the end of the day, I'm going to go back to what I was saying right now, Mr. Bautista. We talked about this about going out and vote.
Yeah.
It's very important that we do that because I don't know, we need to go out there and vote, and we're going to have another 4 years of Trump, sorry. So
I wouldn't mind for other years of Bush as opposed to Trump, but
I mean,
you know what I'm saying.
What can we do, Mr. Bautista? People don't want to go out there and vote.
Well, the thing is, George, a lot of it has to do with that we have to educate them from the time that they're in junior high and high school that it's a civil responsibility. It's a civic matter that they should be proud to go out and vote, because we complain about the fact that at City Hall we have people who are not qualified, but the reason that they're not qualified is because we allow them to run, and the people that want them in there, they get to decide that. The rest of us don't. And I tell people, George, when they tell me, no tengo tiempo, how can you not have time? You can do it by mail,
Yep.
So
I mean, you're
it's
going to tell
upsetting.
people so much, Mr. Bautista, and they don't want to participate. I mean, what can we do, man? I mean, what can you really do? So hopefully, to our platform here, bringing the candidates, educating you, the voters, to go
Yeah.
out there and vote. Will kind of bring more attention because I think the last votes or the last general election was what 12%, which is kind of
It's
I'm not sure,
ridiculous.
but that's I know in the runoffs it was like 8%. I mean, it's just ridiculous low. I mean,
Yeah. And George, we have to continue educating people. We can't stop telling people that because it's like the black movement. You can't stop just because there's some that don't agree or that don't want to have to be involved. We have to continue pushing this issues because I was very surprised with Mr. Montes. He educated us last
yeah.
week.
And talking about Mr. Montes, sorry to interrupt you there, Miss Bautista.
Yeah.
Miss Byrd is online, so we're going to go ahead and bring her in. Miss
That's
Byrd is
it.
running for District 4. Let's go ahead and bring her in.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Miss Byrd. I wish she could hear us. Can she hear us?
Hello. Turn your. Maybe she has her mic off.
I'm checking that right now. No, she's
She's in.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if we can see her or not. I'm sorry, folks. Me and Mr. Bautista can't see, but I did let her into the stream.
Maybe
maybe she'll
retry.
Maybe she could retry. Well, that's
Yeah.
fine. We'll wait for her.
Yeah, she'll get it.
Yeah, we'll see. The good thing about here, we don't have a time restriction. So if we go a little bit over because we have to wait for Ms. Bird, that's fine. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
But anyways, talking about Mr. Bautista, did you know there's actually 6 people running for mayor?
No, I didn't. I thought it was only 3.
There's 2 people I heard, Dean Martinez and David Zolberg, Zielldhof, I think it is. Dolfberg?
No, both.
Yeah, that's 2 other people that are running for mayor. I didn't know that. I don't know,
Well,
Miss Dorsey could hear us, Miss Bird, but we can't hear you. I'm not sure we can see you because we can't see the screen. But unfortunately, it does show that we have her mic active and her camera is on.
Yeah.
So, Miss Bird, if you could hear us, go ahead and if you could go get off, come back on. Maybe that way we could adjust. Maybe that will, fix the problem here.
Yeah.
So hopefully we could do that, Miss Bird. Anyways, so talking about the elections, District 8, 6, 3, 4, and the mayor are up for election. So far, we've had a candidate for 4, which is Miss Bird. We've also had Wesley Lawrence. We also had Sean Nixon, District 4. 7, we've had Mike, or what's her name? Mr. Montes.
No.
So,
Okay. I
go
thought
ahead.
Mr. Montes was. I thought he was District 2. I'm confused. I was confused. I'm fine.
No, he's 7.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good.
So let's see if she comes back on. No, she has not on. So hopefully she'll come back on, folks. She'll come back and link onto the show. So
While we're waiting there, George, I was listening to the news from Las Cruces this morning. We had, believe it or not, they had 4 or 7 kids, elementary kids that contracted the virus, and so they had to shut down the school again because.
okay, she's back on, Mr. Bautista. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you, sir. She's back on. So
No
let's try this
problem.
again.
Good. Good morning.
Miss Bird. Miss Bird, no. Do me a favor, Mr. Bautista. Go ahead and take over the show. I'm gonna go ahead and give her a call. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
YouTube. 25 minutes
we
of
were
Facebook.
listening. We were listening to. I was listening to the news in Las Cruces, and they had they were saying that the one of the elementary schools, 4, I believe it was 4 or 7 kids contracted the virus. Now they're claiming that none of the staff or teachers were involved or were they had the problem, but they still had to shut down the school. and I guess they're going to have to go back and shut the school, or shut the school for 2-3 weeks and then maybe retry again. But I just think that, as we've been saying, that people have to understand that parents want their kids to go to school. I want my grandsons to go back to school. I believe that there is no replacement for face-to-face teaching. However, you have to go with the lesser of the two evils, which is the learning through virtual. And so,
Mr. Bautista, sorry
yes,
to interrupt
sir,
you. So apparently they could see her on the stream, but we
but they
can't
can't
hear
hear.
her. And
Huh.
I unmuted Miss Bird. I did unmute her mic, and I unmuted it and muted it, or turned it off, turn on,
Yeah.
and we can't hear. I wonder what happened there. I wonder if Miss Bird has her mic muted by any chance, or did she accept?
Well, you have to accept it, because it says, when you go in, that
Well,
you're. I hear her. Volume, volume, maybe.
no, on her side, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they say they could see her on the video.
But her volume is on her phone. Maybe her volume is not
I
on
don't know.
loud enough.
Well, we'll see. Miss Bird, I do apologize for that. Like I said, they see you on the stream, but we can't hear you on our end. So I'm not sure what is going on there. So go ahead and take over again, Mr. Bautista. Let me do one more thing, okay?
Okay. Well, and so what I'm saying as an educator, as an ex-educator, and having my kids in school, and I have two grandsons right now that are in, one of them is in junior high, and the thing that I wanted to express is that you can't replace learning through virtual, but that's what we have right now, and we have to go with that. And it's more important that they lack a little bit of knowledge, or that they suffer a little bit using the virtual learning process, than to have them get sick, and some of them may even die, because the little kids are not immune from death. We've seen already that we've had kids, quite a few kids that have died, because of COVID. And so I wouldn't want one of those kids to be one of my grandsons, just because we wanted him to get face-to-face education. It's not the end of the world for us if we can just wait. They'll find a vaccine, hopefully, this at the end of this year, or soon, and hopefully, we'll be able to return to some semblance of normality. But at the present time, we just need to learn to deal with it. And the schools that are trying to force the issue by saying, well, we got to get our kids out there, it's easier said than done. And those governors and those administrators that insist that they want the kids out there face to face with the teachers, they're not thinking straight. Teachers will also lose their lives there. And I've got a son that's teaching in Houston, and I wouldn't want him to put his life into risk his life, although he's only 41 years old, and we have the tendency to believe that, well, they're not going to be affected as bad as those of us who are older and have pre-existing conditions, because we don't know. If we had, if we knew that, then we ourselves would be able to say, well, you know what, I'll get in there and teach. But I wouldn't do that. And I'm a diabetic, and so there's just no way that I could do it or would do it. And so I think that what we as educators need to press on and insist that they go ahead and teach the kids virtually while we can right now, and hopefully things will get better. Right? I see some improvement from when the virus first started, and the kids had to stop going to school. I see some improvement. I watch my grandson, and the first time the teachers weren't prepared. I mean, when I was teaching, we weren't prepared for a situation like this, and so now they've gained some experience, and they understand how they can deal with it, and hopefully, the situation will get better. But the high schools right now, one of the things that's kind of concerning to me is that the kids are losing. When they go into the Zoom, or they go into Google Meets, and what's the other one? Oh, Microsoft Word. Uh, because of the fact that there's so many people in the system now, they're cutting off.
Mr.
And
Bautista. So
yes, sir.
I made contact with her finally. Sorry about that, folks. And then we're going to try to bring her back in. Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay. Here we go. Try one more time. Cross our fingers. Ms. Byrd.
Hey,
there we go.
Good morning.
All right.
I did it on my phone.
Did you have your phone off or what?
No, she was trying to. She couldn't go on her computer. She had to do it on her phone. But Ms. Byrd, I think we have an issue with phones, because last time we tried to make contact, you remember? We're having an issue.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
you just have to get an iPhone.
So I turned one off, so you only be able to see me on the one view.
Okay.
Like there. How's that?
I see you real well. I see you real well.
We're both visually impaired, so you look very nice. Well, anyway, Ms. Byrd, hello, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, but I was truly afraid that I wasn't going to get on your show because of the sound.
No, we're good. We're good, and
we're good.
And just to let you know, Ms. Byrd, one of your, I'm not sure if he's a friend of yours, but David Zamora reached out to me, and he's running for constable, and I was very surprised that he called me, and I do appreciate that, Mr. Zamora.
Yes,
looking.
I know him.
Okay, yeah, he called me, and he said that he could see you, and thank you, Mr. Zamora, and we'll probably have you on the show. Thank you. I didn't know that he knew how to contact me, so that's a good thing. Well, anyways, Ms. Byrd, hello, ma'am.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. And I just want to say thank you so much for having patience with me so I can be on your show.
Well, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome, and we are really excited to have you.
Well,
it's our honor, ma'am. Trust me, it is our honor. So what I'm going to do is, with Ms. Byrd, during our conversations on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and provide Mrs. Byrd information regarding her. She has an Instagram, she has Twitter, Facebook, emails, and website. I want to be putting up on the screen, folks, and also she's a PO box, and that's just so because if you do want to reach out to Ms. Byrd, because right now I know it's kind of hard to campaign regarding the COVID. Yeah, it's kind of difficult. So Ms. Byrd, first of all, can you just real fast? Well, no, take your time. I'm kind of rushed. Take your time. I'm rushing. That's Can you introduce yourself, ma'am?
My name is Sissy. Actually, everyone calls me Sissy Byrd, but my real name is Dorothy M. Byrd, and I'm just great to be here.
So what was that trigger that made you say, you know what, I'm ready for city council? What? Because we have all the candidates that come on. What's that? Was it a singular issue? Was it a combination of things? Well, what made you run for city council, ma'am?
Well, I believe that it was a combination of different things, and what I mean by that is, I am so tired of the Northeast not being treated as if we are part of El Paso at times.
Amen to that.
Because a lot of funding does not come our way. And it's like, I look at it this way. There's a difference between movement and progress. And I believe that the Northeast, we are moving. But the difference is you could be moving and standing in one place. I think for the progress of El Paso, the Northeast, we need new representation. I'm not going to say anything bad about the old city rep, but I will say I want to come to that table to represent us. I want to be the voice for people who don't have a voice. And I just want everyone to please consider me because I am truly involved in the community. You might as well say I work full-time as a volunteer besides my full-time job because I care about the people in the Northeast and in all of El Paso. So yes, it was a combination of different things, but I just think that I will be able to represent our community very well.
What would you say, Ms. Bird? What would you say right now? Because every segment or portion of El Paso is different. For example, not everything that's going to impact District 7 or the Lower Valley is going to be the same for Northeast and vice versa.
Right.
So what do you see right now would be the biggest challenges to overcome right now in District 4?
Well, in District 4, you know, we are truly growing as far as apartments and housing. And, you know, there are a lot of families out here. There are families even going to move out here still. And we need to have different, say, like, for instance, entertainment for them to go to. We need new stores so they can go and shop. If we can drive from the Northeast to the West Side or the East Side to go shopping, people from the East Side and the West Side can truly drive to the Northeast, because it's not like we don't have the access roads to get here. We have 54, we have 61, we have 375. So anybody all over El Paso can come to where we are. We need stores that we can shop in our neighborhoods instead of having to go to another part of the city.
Well, why do you think, Miss Byrd, why do you think that the business community doesn't involve itself trying to see that way and feel that way? Because obviously the numbers are there for the Northeast population to go shopping and participate. What do you see there that the business community is not doing for you?
Well, I think, you know, whenever a business goes into a community, they survey the area. But we don't have anything to survey out here. How they going to survey how we shop or anything else? There's a big difference there. And, you know, it's a shame, but it's so true. I have talked to many people that live in other areas of the city. Do you know they've never been to the Northeast? They don't know what the Northeast people are about. They don't know what the city looks like from looking from the Northeast. They have never been out here to the museums, to Sue Young Park, for example. You know, there are all the different items out there and everything. Look at where the flagpole was. The flagpole is taken down now because they're doing repairs on it. By the way, they need donations for that. But anyway, it's people don't know what the Northeast is all about. They reflect to many years ago, oh, it's a bad part of town. Statistically, if you look at different areas of things terribly happening to it, the Northeast is not number one. So therefore, we have a bad taste in people's mouths. Oh, well, I don't want to go to the Northeast. It's too far. I don't want to go to the Northeast because of crime. El Paso has crime all over the city. But to say we are the worst is not true. And if you look up, if anybody go to the police department or the sheriff department, they will find out those statistics are true, that we are safe. We are part of El Paso, so therefore El Paso is safe. Of course, the Northeast is going to be safe.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
I taught in up at Urban High School, and you know the same thing was said about the kids at Urban. You know, oh, those kids are just not, they're just problematic kids. I taught there for 8-9 years, and I never saw that. You know, the kids are kids, and they're gonna be good kids and not so good kids, and they're gonna be everywhere. And it's not just there. You know, Eastwood doesn't have the best of the best. You know, they all have their problems. Hank's is the same way. And I worked at Urban, and I enjoyed it. I was there for about 9 years, and again, you know, it was a mixture of kids, and I liked it. But I think a lot of times, like you said, people have the misconception that the Northeast is the problematic part of the city, and it's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I was growing up, Ms. Byrd, to be honest with you, I grew up I went to Austin High School, Sunset High School in Central, and then I grew up in the East Side, Edgemere and whatnot. And I always remember when I was young that the cholos and the bad people lived in the Northeast, and don't go over there. and what was it? A pair of the diamond. What is that thing called? Where the other gangs hang out. Well, anyways,
Oh,
two,
you talking about hell? What is it? Hell Triangle?
Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
They renamed that a couple of years ago. It's called Angels Triangle now.
Amen.
Angels
to that,
Triangle.
right?
People start referring it, especially the people in the Northeast. But like I said, it's really bad where other people that live on the other parts of town have never been to the Northeast.
You know what?
It's not like that. How can we go to different meetings? Now, let's face it. A lot of us that are involved in the community, we live in the Northeast. We go to the other communities, go to different meetings all over the city, but we are a reflection of our part of town.
Right.
So if they're saying, oh, well, the Northeast is this, that, and other, well, what about all the people that live in the Northeast? Are you saying that about all of us? No.
No.
Of course, no matter where you live, there's going to be problems. There's going to be issues. I don't care where you live.
Well, but right now, Miss Byrd, what do you think? I mean, you've heard about the gang. Every time you see a shooting or you're on the news, right away on Facebook, I say, oh, they put in the comments, Northeast, Northeast, Northeast. And sometimes it's not. It's like for Far East now, it's becoming troublesome, or even the Lower Valley. But the thing is, so what can you do, ma'am? Or if you go on city council, if somebody was to ask you, a constituent, say, Ms. Byrd, what can you do to address, if there is crime?
Well, you know what? First of all, that's for the police and the sheriff department. Law enforcement is over the crimes. I will not be over no crimes. Now, I can put my input of different areas that we need more police going into the neighborhoods. Learn who your neighbors are. I think it's a good thing that on that app, neighborhood watch. I can't remember what the name of it is.
Neighborhood watch.
Because I get the name of it confused. But anyway, I think it's a good thing that the police department is on there. So the neighborhood can get to know who the police are, but the police can also get to know who we are. We're in this together. If crime is in our area, crime is affecting all of us. Say, for instance, if our store got robbed and they want to close it, that is affecting the people in the Northeast because we can't go to that store anymore. So It's not like it's so separate. It's all together because no matter what, this is our city. This is our part of the city, the Northeast. So therefore, we have to protect our homes. This is where we live. This is where people work, and we have to protect each other. That's how come it's important also to know who your neighbor is.
Amen.
Let me change it, the pace here a little bit, Miss Byrd. How do you feel about the management at the top, the mayor and the city manager? I've been very upset about the fact that they've given him a $20,000 raise, and it's not even a bonus; it's a raise, and he's making $330,000. And I think we need people like yourself that could come in and say, we can't be doing that. If we're going to freeze the salaries of the classified employees, he needs to be first.
Well, you know what I feel about that? Just like you said, I think it's a shame that here we are in a pandemic and the city wants to give raises. Now, the lower level employees, and what I mean by lower level is I'm not talking about the mayor, I'm talking about the ones that got to get out there and work to repair the street lights or whatever. They put a freeze on their jobs. They put
on the salaries,
on their salaries. And I think it's a shame here we're in a pandemic, but yet you want to give raises. And already the pandemic is affecting so many people. So many families are without jobs. They're without food. Have you ever seen a time when El Paso had so many food banks? So many different people of walks of life that are in food bank lines. It is truly a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and then you want to give him a raise? Take that money and put it toward a food bank. Put it toward helping people with their gas, electric, water, something. And now, I really think it's a shame that even with the schools now, they're having the children to wear school uniforms. These people don't have jobs. How are they going to buy a school uniform so they can sit in front of a computer? And that was asked. And, I think it's a shame because raises should not be given during this time. All of it should be deferred to another time.
What do you think of, first of all, you're listening to No Vision Internet Radio. We are streaming on Facebook Live and YouTube. And also, for those who are Ms. Byrd, I do apologize. Forget that you can see me because I'm blind. I'm checking the broadcast on our website. So we're streaming on www.novisioninternetradio.com also. And so, Ms. Byrd, what would you say, and we've asked all the candidates that come on the show, what would you say coming out of the pandemic is the biggest barrier for El Paso?
Well, I think the biggest barrier is to make sure that our families are okay. Because, like I said, with all of them not being able to work, and some jobs will never come back. A lot of different businesses will close. We have a lot of mom and pop restaurants and boutiques and different things, hairdressers, different things like that. Their jobs are gone. We need to be concerned of, first of all, if people still want to get tested, let them. Because even though our numbers are kind of not going up as drastically as there were, but there's so many deaths, and it's all people of all ages, all races. It doesn't make any difference. I think we need to concentrate on our citizens to make them be safety, to make their roads accessible. Those are the type of things that should be concentrated on first. And and a lot of different things need to be focused on the children that are going to school. There are so many that are missing out. There are so many that cannot learn through the Zoom as fast as they would have in a classroom. So right. I think, it's like a lot of social programs. We're going to have to focus on some of those. But we also need to still focus on like the streets and everything, because we have to make sure we keep our community safe.
And Ms. Byrd, one of the things that I have brought up before too is with the budget. Of course, the budget is not going to be good this year,
right?
Because you're not going to have the monies that were available to you before. So what are we going to do to facilitate those jobs that? What they said that they there's 400 people that worked at the city were they laid off or served?
I think they're furloughed right now, but supposedly they may be terminated. By the way, Ms. Byrd, just to let you know, while we're just talking to Ms. Byrd, I am streaming her on the ticker. I am putting her Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and then her website. So I hope that's coming out. Ms. Byrd, I can ask you one thing. We're going back to we talked about the crime. We talked to Mr. Aaron Montes last week. What's your take on defunding police?
Now, I think first of all, most people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
They believe a lot of people feel that defunding is not paying the police. Just get rid of the police department. That's not true. Defunding means that you take those funds and you divert it to something else. Say, for instance, social workers. I think some money can be transferred over to those areas, because all it is that it still come underneath the police department, but it could be social workers that are involved. And I think that some of the incidents, probably they do need a social worker just as much as they need a law enforcement officer there.
Well, how do you feel, Ms. Byrd, about the militarization that they use for crowd control?
No,
is there typing? I hear typing.
Somebody's typing.
I hear typing. Anyways, I thought it was me. I'm like, am I typing? But anyways, Ms. Byrd?
Yes.
I don't know. Do you hear typing or is it me?
No, I do hear typing.
I wonder why.
I think he's cracking nuts or something there.
How weird, because I
George.
do hear typing.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, but
What is that?
I
Well, anyways,
don't know.
that's weird. We got hacked. I think we're getting hacked there, folks, because I can hear typing for some weird
Yeah.
reason. Let me do this. Maybe that'll stop it.
Are you still there, Miss Byrd?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, anyway, how do you feel about the toys that the police department are purchasing for militarizing and crowd control? Do you agree, or should
I
that's
disagree with militarizing our police department. When people get out there and have a peaceful protest, they should never be fired upon. I don't think that every protest turns into a riot, but sometimes it could be escalated because of the tempers of the people that are there. So therefore, no, I don't believe that we need to militarize our police department. I don't think so at all. It's
Yeah,
unsafe for the people who are out there, and it's unsafe also for law enforcement. Because look, there's bad people in bad situations all the time. So therefore, no, it makes it worse. When you're coming out with riot gear on and you look like a soldier,
yeah.
that will intimidate a person who wouldn't normally get intimidated.
Well, that's not their job.
And they're afraid. Some of the
yeah,
protesters are afraid.
Their job is to police, not to militarize. And that's where I think the money should go into the programs that for training and for education. And a lot of our policemen need to know about autism, about people. Sometimes they've had guys that crashed their car, and the first thing they think is that they were intoxicated. And diabetics can go into a coma, and that could be potentially dangerous for that one particular person.
Exactly. And let's face it, it's truly a shame that and another thing I don't think law enforcement should be able to easily move from one city or state to another.
Amen.
If you are in one city and you are the worst police officer on that team, because that's what it is. The police department has a team within themselves, and they move to, say, like for instance, if there's someone that lives in another state, I'm not gonna name a state because somebody be that had a fit. But let's just say they moved to El Paso. Well, they moved to Texas, to El Paso, and they're truly, truly a bad cop, where they don't consider the people. They just have their own agenda, their own where they think that they're so much in charge of a person just because they're wearing a badge and have a gun. And then they come to El Paso. Let's face it, El Paso is made up of different races. I myself being of the black race, and then others with the Hispanics, the Orientals, anything, Indians. But they come here with an attitude against our races. Who's going to end up hurt or dead? We would.
Yeah.
Because just like, we keep talking about the August 3rd shooting, but let's face it, he came here to kill. He came here to kill Hispanics. He came here to kill blacks, whites, anybody else that stood in his way, and that's what he did. He hurt these people. He killed other people. And let's face it, look at the babies. Look at the small kids that were in the store that day. Look how traumatized they're going to be for a long time or for the rest of their lives. And it's just not affecting one race. It affects all of our races.
Amen. Amen to that, Ms. Byrd.
Black Lives Matter, because at the moment, we need to concentrate on different parts. We need to concentrate on the black people that keep getting killed for no reason at all. Then if we get that under control, then we can move on to the next set of races. that are being traumatized and killed. Look at all those babies that were in cages in on our grounds, in our city. We
Yeah.
have to think about each and every single one of us and stop thinking, oh, well, it doesn't concern me because I'm not that race. That's a
And
bunch of bull.
and now they just were talking about in the news that a lot of those kids that were, they took their parents away from them. They're sending them back to where they came from, but they're not sending them back with their parents. They're sending them by themselves, and all those kids that they're sending back, in particularly, have contracted the COVID-19.
I mean, what would you think about this? Why would you even send a child back to, let's say, Mexico or wherever, without their parent? What's the logic of that?
The
That's what I don't
Trumpian,
understand.
that's a Trumpian mentality.
Right, and all they want to do is get them out our country. That's just like, now all of us are over 50 that's on here or close to it. I know I'm over 50, but I'm doing good for being over 50.
I'm a little younger than you.
That's just.
I'm only 72. I'm a little younger than you.
Well, I'm 63 and I'm still kicking it. That's just like saying, for instance, say I wasn't black, say I was Hispanic, and all of a sudden, just like the kids, they send me to Mexico and say, okay, you're from here, I'm sending you back here. I am at my age of 63 years old. How am I going to adapt over there? Well, I know nothing about it.
True.
Yeah.
So
That's
can you imagine a baby, a 2-3 year old being sick? What if there's no other family members? What are they going to do with these kids? Are they just going to send them over there and they end up in a orphanage or something else? What about kids that'll never go back to their parents? We got to
Ms. Byrd,
those kids too.
If you think about it, that could contribute to the issue of human trafficking and sending the little kids themselves over there. And the thing is, it's that typing throws me off, and I do apologize. I don't know what that typing is from. But let me ask you a question, Ms. Byrd, before we go any further. What makes you the best candidate for District 4 right now? What background? What can you bring to the table? Because there's how many running? There's 7 running or 6 individuals?
There's 6 running now.
Yes. So what stands you out of the other candidates that you can make a difference?
Well, first of all, I am the only woman that's running. That stands out a lot.
Are you? Oh wow. Okay, cool. All right.
And because of me volunteering so much in our community, I am always out there with everyone of the Northeast and El Paso as a whole. I understand how they feel. I understand that we're worried about what is in our neighborhood. Will I be able to go to the store and can my children get a job in my neighborhood? Will the children that are graduating from high school stay here and go to college here? Will the ones that's going to college here stay here? That's why I am the best candidate, because I know how the people of the Northeast and El Paso feel. I know what it is with women's issues, men's issues, families' issues.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Byrd. If a constituent was to come to you and say, okay, because I know one of the things that always comes up, and you've probably been asked this thousands and thousands of times, the streets, the infrastructure in the Northeast. What can you say to address that issue of the streets?
I think that, we are actually gaining, for some reason you can't see me now. I know good and well that, for instance, our streets need to be still worked upon. Our sidewalks need to be worked on. When a street light is knocked down, it should not take months for that street light to go back up, because if that street light has a purpose to keep the streets well lit so that our citizens can be safe. That's just like, I think something needs to be done to help the homeowners. And yes, it is a homeowner's property if they have a big tree and the tree is growing up underneath the sidewalk. I was talking to a young man that was in a wheelchair, and he was like a block from where I was standing because I was out there putting up a sign. And what happened was
Uh-oh. Did,
Oh,
did, did
Ms.
we
Byrd?
lose you?
No, y'all can't see me, but I can still see y'all. I guess you can still hear me. So what
Yeah,
happened
we
was
can hear you.
he told me, he said, because of the sidewalk. I think we need to make sure that we even help the homeowners where they have these trees or whatever is making the sidewalks come up where the people that are in the wheelchairs or walkers to still be safe and walk on our streets. We need
Yep.
to address that part also, and accessibility to the bus stops for handicapped people. We have to
Well,
make sure they can get to the bus stop to get on the bus when they want to travel by the bus.
well, let me say something, Ms. Bird, about that because I used to chair the City Accessibility Committee and the Mass Transit Board. Um, the two things that really need to be addressed is the funding or the lack of funding. Right now, there is what's called CDBG funding that's available to districts that allows for to fix the streets. Because what Ms. Bird is saying, if you own a home and the sidewalk is coming up because of a tree, that's really the responsibility of the homeowner.
As a
However,
homeowner, yeah.
this if there's funding to what's called another source of funding on demand program, the city could actually come in and fix that sidewalk at no charge to the landowner or the property owner. I'm sorry. So that what Ms. Bird is saying about the bus stops, folks, there's still over 500 bus stops that are not accessible. Okay, 500. That's a lot. So I'm glad you touched on that, Ms. Bird, because that kind of shows that you're going across boards when it comes to addressing many issues. That you appreciate that, ma'am. Um, saying the last thing about the streets and sidewalks. Is it true that Dyer is an interstate, right? It's a highway.
Is it true that is what?
That Dyer is a street is actually belongs to the state? It's a highway or interstate.
I think that is so true.
So can
Yeah.
the city address issues on that street or not?
I think no matter what, the city still should be able to address the issues on that. For the
Amen.
simple fact that it's still part of our city and it's part of our state. So why can't we address it? That should make us be able to find out who can do something about it. Because there's a big difference of just saying, oh, well, it doesn't belong to the city, so forget that. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
True.
Yeah.
You're right.
We should be able to address it. We got enough city employees on these different departments where they should be able to find out, okay, if it's not the city, then find out who it belongs to and let's address that to them so we can get it fixed, because it's about getting it fixed. It's not so much about who it falls up under.
True. No, you're right, ma'am. And I appreciate you saying it because it's true. Because what happens a lot of times, you know what I just noticed? When I'm talking, this typing happens.
Yeah, that's because they're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what you're saying so they can.
I don't know. I just realized that right now. When I talk, it does the typing. I might touch
Yeah.
that soon. But anyways, Ms. Bird, before we go, because it's already past 12, and I know you have a tight schedule. What can you say in closing that makes you, Ms. Bird, the best candidate?
Well, like I said, I am truly a part of my community. I am a Democrat. I didn't just become a Democrat so I can run. I didn't just become involved in my community because I'm running. I am none of that. I am out there with the community. I make sure that our community is striving. And I just feel that because I have volunteered for so many years, and I came here with the military as a military dependent, I know what it is to move here from someplace else. I know what it is to move here and sit someplace else. When I first originally came here, I came from Germany. After a couple of years, we were sent back to Germany. But I came back here as a choice to be a part of El Paso. In the
Amen.
Northeast only. All my children went to only schools in the Northeast. My grandson went to school in Northeast. My children graduated from Andrews High School, both of them. Within my children only, and I only have two. I have one grandson, and then I have another grandson that calls me grandma because he is our neighbor's son. That's how long I have been here and embedded in our community. grandson of love.
Oh, that's cool.
I love him, his family, and his family love our family. So that's how come, in a way, you could say I had 2 grandchildren, but they all attended school. I have children that attended Vista, all of them. But like I said, I embedded in this community, and if I was a business owner, I would have it in the Northeast where it should be, because this is our city. We need to work for our city, and we need to take care of our city. And you know, even though the Northeast representative is only, in a sense, representing the Northeast, let's face it, City Council represents our whole city.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
So therefore, you have to have input and gain knowledge from all over El Paso. And another thing, we need to teach our community about protecting our environment, because we can make mistakes to harm our environment and we don't even know it. So, you know, what we got to do is we got to educate each other, help each other to learn how to protect our neighborhoods, how to protect our environment, how to strive and stress to our children. Do something with your life. You need help. We got to find a way to kind of help. And the seniors, let's face it, seniors have limited income, limited access to a lot of things. We got to look out for the seniors, because hopefully we pray to God that one day we're going to be a senior and we're going to want somebody to come help us.
Amen. Yes, ma'am. You are directly, you are so right. And Ms. Byrd, I just those who are watching, please share this video, because I want Ms. Byrd's voice to get out there, because at this time it's kind of hard to campaign because of the pandemic. She really can't, it's not safe to go door to door and have rallies and campaign parties and whatnot. But, you know, please out there, share her voice, because this is our intent on this show. For right now, we're talking to candidates, is to let their voices be heard through the social media. For example, with Aaron Montes, we had over 800 hits. So come on, folks, let's share Mrs. Byrd's voice here and let her her message come across to other people, that even though you might not live in Northeast, how about your grandpa, your cousin that lives in Northeast? Say, hey, check this out. Check out Ms. Byrd. She's running for city council for your district, and vote for her. By the way, what position did you pick on the? Where are you on the ballot?
I am truly happy to say that I am on place number 1.
All right.
Hey.
I could not have gotten a better place. But can I say one more thing? Please go to my website and go to my Facebook page. And the reason why I'm stressing that is because then you'll get to know who Sissy Byrd truly is. It's not up there for show. It is what I have done, what I want to accomplish, and the different organizations and stuff that I belong to. They are not endorsing me. It is just for you to understand how much I am embedded in my community. I belong to many organizations, have belonged to many organizations, and it's about taking care of our community. And that's what I'm bringing to the table, where I don't know if our other candidates are. I'm only going to concentrate on me, because I want to be the next City Council District 4 representative.
Amen to that. So folks that are watching on Facebook and YouTube, I've had on the ticker is Ms. Byrd's Facebook. It has her Twitter account and her Instagram. So I'm going to let it run for a little bit. So we do want to showcase that. Ms. Byrd, before we leave, and again, me and Mr. Bautista, I do appreciate you coming on. It is a great honor. Do you have anything to say, Mr. Bautista, before we go?
I just want to thank her, and as you said, want to ask the listeners to check her Facebook space, her website, and help her out so that she can become the next representative. She's working hard, and obviously we can tell that she's a great person. And thank you, Ms. Byrd, for coming on our show, and we really appreciate you.
And I thank y'all so much, because this is truly helping out the candidates so that the people in the community can get to know who we are and hear us speak a little bit. So I thank both of you so much.
Well, one thing I've learned, Ms. Byrd, I've for a while been doing this internet stuff, and I started with Abel Rodriguez on dialogueep.com. And one thing he told me, he's like, he used to be in part of KVIA and he was part of Channel 26. And he said a lot of times what happens with candidates, you only get, if they are on the news, if it's not the chosen one, if you are on the news, you only get 20 seconds at that. So he says, it needs to have a platform where the candidates could talk for an hour, 30 minutes, or whatever it is to give them that voice. So that's why we bring on candidates and like you, Ms. Byrd. I want to say one thing. My mom taught me many years ago, rest in peace, my mom. She told me attitude makes up for aptitude. And your attitude, Ms. Byrd, I got to say, is perfect.
Well, thank you so much. That is so good to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. So next week we may be off. Me and Mr. Bautista are still talking about that. But since we had a call from Danny Zamora, he's running for a constable. We might have him on the show next week. But Ms. Byrd, you're more welcome to ever come back. There's still time between now and November 3rd. I think it's less than 50 days, if I'm not mistaken, for the election. So if you ever want to come back, ma'am, let me know, and you're more welcome to do that. Okay.
Well, all you got to do is invite me, and I'll be back. And I'll be back after I win.
There you go. Amen to that.
Thank you so much.
Well, I have a question, Ms. Byrd.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, when you logged on, were you on browser, on the Google Chrome browser or not?
I was on, I think I was on Edge. I'm not sure.
That's my bad. I should have told you StreamYard works better on Google Chrome, and my bad. That's on me, folks.
Oh,
We're learning. We're learning. So, all right, Ms. Byrd.
Everybody can't see me for the last 10 minutes. It's just all black, but I'm still here, and you see what I look like in the beginning.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
all right, Ms. Byrd, I do appreciate
it. Experience.
Thank
Amen
you.
to that. Thank you, ma'am. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
One other thing
Yes, ma'am.
I want to say. You know
Yeah, go ahead.
I think also we need to make sure we make people and businesses pay attention to where disabled and handicapped people, because your community is growing so much. We need to pay attention to a lot of you because you are growing so much. I think where we need to make sure that businesses and everything enforce accessibility to get into, like the American Legions, into stores, into apartments, different things like that, because your community is growing so much that I don't know if anybody's paying attention to how much you're growing.
All right.
Ms. Byrd,
We'll
I'm
bring
glad you
that
said
one up.
that. I do want to mention this real quick, folks. Well, a lot of times what happens is business owners in El Paso, they're kind of scared when you say accessibility, like, it's going to cost us money. However, there is city grants that is available. Granted, I'm not sure after the COVID, but there are grants that will help the business owner to make their home or their business accessible. So don't be afraid if someone approaches you and you're a business owner and they say, you know what, your place is not accessible, that's not automatically means millions and millions of dollars. So just keep that in mind. I'm glad you said that, Ms. Byrd.
Because you know in the budget, there's that money that's on demand. That's how you use that money for different things like that. You go to city council and say, you know what, I would like to put a ramp at this building. Can I talk to city council about it? Can I put this on the agenda? Well, we can address this issue. And like I said, that's on demand. So therefore, and you know what makes it a shame that some businesses, all they have to do is tell the state, oh, well, I'm working on it. They may be working on it for 10 years. And they still qualify them as doing something about it. Even though, remember what I said, when there's movement, you can move in one place and not do nothing.
Ms. Byrd, can I ask you a question? How do you know? How not many people know that. How do you know that? Can I ask you that?
Because I pay attention.
There you go. No, seriously, folks.
Seriously, I really do pay attention. And for years, I used to go to NEO and volunteer with a home. They had 15 disabled or mentally challenged children. I volunteered for many, many years with them. And I fully understand what it is to a point, only to a point, what it is where you can't do this or you can't do that because of any kind of disability. So I truly only understand to a point because I don't have any kind of disabilities or anything, except I need glasses. I have to wear those, but that's not really considered a disability. But what I'm saying is that comes from me being involved in our community. That's what, that's how come I'm stressing so much about volunteering and everything, because I know about these things because I'm out there with the people. And that's the only way. Some things you can learn by looking at YouTube or anything else, but a lot of things you learn by personally being out there with someone to help someone. I know what it is to stand next to somebody and they're upset because of something happened to a family member. I know what it is to let them cry on my daggone shoulder. I know what it is to cry on their shoulder because none of us are perfect. All we can do is help out each other. And that's what we in city council, and I am not in anybody's pocket. I have a grassroots campaign. So, and I really did have a hard time with even asking people for donations for the simple fact that I know what it is to take care of another family member. I know what that is to feel like when you're saying, oh, well, which do you want? More money for your campaign or more money? Give me a $10 to buy somebody some groceries. Me, myself, because of the way I am, I would say, okay, well, maybe we could give you $5 and I take $5, or give you $8 because you got more mouths to feed than I do.
Yes,
so it's truly hard right now with campaigning because of the pandemic, but it's also truly hard to get donations, and I will not be in the pocket of no one.
Amen.
And that is for sure because people have cliques and all these other things. I'm not in them, and I never
Amen.
have.
Well, thank you for.
Go ahead, Mr.
I was just going to say thank you for being on our program, and as George has said, next time that you want to be on, let us know, and we'll welcome you back, and maybe after the election, and you get to be the representative. Maybe after that, you can come in and talk to us.
All right, Ms. Byrd. Ms. Byrd,
Yes.
I want to put you on the spot now, okay?
Okay.
You become city council now. You're going to come back on our show, okay?
I already said that.
All right. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay.
More importantly,
because I plan on winning.
Ms. Byrd. More importantly, I want to close out this show good. More importantly, Ms. Byrd, I want you to really think about this answer. I think Mr. Bautista already knows. Ms. Byrd, are you a
Yes?
Dallas fan? Are you a Dallas fan?
No, my team is Philadelphia Eagles. I don't like Dallas Cowboys.
I like her. I like her already.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Nothing I can tell you.
I like her already. So, all right, Ms. Byrd, thank you, ma'am.
We can truly watch a football game together when we come back to when we start our new normal. I can sit down and have some chicken wings and a daggone Coke with y'all and fries.
Amen.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, I ain't gonna argue about that. All right, thank you, Ms. Byrd. It's a truly pleasure. You're a sweetheart. God bless and be safe. So, Mr. Bautista, we're gonna go and close out.
Yes, sir.
So the thing here, so I'm gonna play some music or our I guess outgoing music, I guess you want to call it. But anyways, next week we might have a show after all. I don't know. It really depends. Hopefully, but spread the word. I really do want Miss Bird's message to get out there. So whoever is on this, watching this, please share this. I mean, because Miss Byrd, just all these candidates really need to have their voices heard and
they need that exposure.
Yeah, they need that exposure. So we're gonna go ahead and play this video, and then we'll go ahead and close out. And thank you, everyone. God bless, Mr. Bautista, and I will see you later.
And stop typing.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.